Good morning, everyone. My name is Tammy Eisenreich, and I'm a parent partner for the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And today, for my Grant Workshop Wednesday, I have Pam Pulizzi. I can't think of the little
It works. Yeah.
from the Orange Effect, and she's going to share all the wonderful things that the Orange Effect has on their calendar for the next, say, 12 months as well for fundraising, but also how that fundraising is used to help families with anything speech related. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. I really appreciate the invitation. So this is a wonderful service that you offer to your families. It's a great resource. I was looking through all the past things that you've done, and it's a really great resource that you have. So a little bit about me. I have a autistic child who is now 22, which is very scary because I'm only 39. No. And we had a similar experience to many of the families we work with, that we had a hard time getting funding for speech therapy, and Josh was nonverbal for years and years and years. So it was very passionate for us to then take what we learned and some of the resources we had and turn it into what is now the Orange Effect Foundation, so that we can provide speech therapy for children who are unable to communicate. And in many circumstances, we're able to provide devices such as iPads or other, learning devices for kids who are completely nonverbal. There's a lot of rules around that with our foundation. I can get into some of that a little bit, but the important part to know is that we distribute grants quarterly. So we have a deadline. Everything's on our website. November 1st is our next one, which I know it fits well with the timing of this little workshop that you're doing. And we do get quite a lot of applications. They all have to be done online. We used to take mail-in applications, if any of you have worked with us before, but now we've gone all digital, trying to save some trees and such. Just as a little side note, our application review committee is 6 people, and we used to actually take the paper applications and drive them to everybody's house so that they could have a turn to look at all of them. We were trying to watch confidentiality, and we didn't want to upload those. So anyways, so now we're digital. It's much easier. The world is a better place for that, for our team, because they are all volunteers as well. So yeah, Orange Effect has been official since 2015. And I think that's probably the biggest scoop we have right now. So
you mentioned that you're all volunteer. That is one thing I really try to stress to families, is that these organizations like the Orange Effect truly are parents that are just paying it forward and helping other families on their journey. Are you finding since COVID that the biggest hang up I hear is that families aren't opening up enough? They're not sharing enough. It's just kind of, yep, we want this. And there's no, there's stories when you're overloaded with applications and you have to whittle it down. I'm guessing that's one of the things you look at, right? Or is it the supporting docs are more important? Like, what is organization?
Sure. I'm going to answer. I saw a question pop up. I want to answer first so I don't forget. Someone asked where the orange comes from. So my husband does public speaking for a living in the marketing world. And one day he started wearing orange, and the logo for his company was orange. And one day he didn't wear orange, and someone called him on it. And we didn't realize it was a thing. So every day since then, this was probably like 1999, he has worn something orange: shoes, hat, whatever it is. So orange is kind of our lucky color. And orange is also the only color that has no negative connotation to it. So it's been our lucky color. And then when we were starting a foundation, we decided to stick with orange because it is our good luck. So back to your question about application. So as you mentioned, when we were chatting before we started recording, we have had to put some restrictions on our applications that we didn't have to do before we got popular, which I don't mean it in an arrogant way. I just mean our marketing worked and lots of families found us. So we do cap our income at $100,000 for the whole family annually. Again, unless there's like a really extenuating circumstance. In either way, whether or not there's an extenuating circumstance, explaining your need is probably the number one thing that you could do on our applications. We have families who have other siblings who need services, or who have parents who are ill, or who have grandparents who are taking care of the family. Any of those kinds of circumstances should be mentioned in your application so that we really understand what the big picture is that's going on with your family. Yes, you have to have a speech language therapist complete their portion of the application. That's how we know that, you know, you're not trying to swindle money, but the rest of it is on you to really explain to us the need. So yeah, very, very important. And all those things will be taken into consideration then. So
wonderful. Let's talk about, what don't you fund? When you say anything language related, would you fund a conference? Like if a parent wanted to go to a apraxia conference or something specific?
No, we only, so thank you. That's a great question. We fund anything related to speech therapy. So we make our payments only to the speech therapist or to the company that's providing the device. And it has to be after service, but we take care of that with the speech language therapist, because in our experience, some people want payments at the time of service, but we work that all out on your behalf when your grant is approved. So no, we wouldn't approve a conference. We've been asked for some things with homeschooling and things like that. And because there's not a speech language therapist involved, we can't do that. So anything where a payment would go directly to a speech therapist or directly to the company providing the device or the app, as we were talking about before, would be reviewed. So
and with apps, do you gift them an app direct from Apple that way, or do you give them a gift card?
It depends, because again, we make the payment to the speech therapist. So if whoever's working, even if it's a school speech therapist, for example, and we just do that on a one-on-one basis, because the therapist might need to buy it with their Apple ID, because, you know, and your technology is way over my head. So I'm doing the best I can on that question.
Oh, no. Well, just in your past, in the 8 years you've been doing
both.
this.
Yeah,
okay.
But it goes to the speech therapist either way. So whether it's an Apple gift card or we actually purchased the app. So yeah, that one's a little bit above my pay grade.
Sorry about that. I just
no,
well,
it's
you're the
fine.
treasurer though. Yeah, I don't know if you guys
right. Yes, but the how it happens is above my pay grade.
Yeah. There was a question on here.
Sure.
And I think you kind of, well, I guess she wanted to know about, I'm guessing with speech therapy, usually do you require that families attempt to get it covered by their medical insurance beforehand?
Yes, we are the funder of last resort. So if you have insurance, you have to exhaust that first. But there's exceptions to every rule, because, and you know, you guys understand disclaimers. So my disclaimer is that I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an insurance expert, but a lot of times insurance covers so many sessions of speech or OT or PT. And so if you're only getting 20 sessions a year, for example, and your child also requires OT or PT, and we understand that you're going to use that for OT and PT, then there might be exceptions to the rule. Another example that happens for us a lot is that insurance won't cover. So, or let me backtrack. Say you're doing school sessions during the year, but you don't have coverage during the summer. We'll cover the 12 weeks during the summer, because we believe in the importance of continuity of care and making sure that your child has year-round care. So that would be another situation where that would be different. But yeah, and the other great thing is that we respond to emails really well. So if you're working on your application and you have a question, just shoot it over. Either that or more information is better. Just over include information and we will take what we need from that. So
is there a
hope that
maximum
helps.
dollar that you can request?
We have 10,000 listed on the digital application just to try to keep expectations in check. We get into situations, particularly with hospitals, their rates, I'm not slamming hospitals, but their rates are extraordinarily crazy. So we often try to negotiate a cash or an insurance rate with hospitals to try and get that down. But if you're looking at a $400 a session thing, 52 weeks a year, again, because we believe in the continuity of care so much, I mean, that can be very, very costly. So we're aware of that. But yeah, on paper, you'll see a cap. So
do hospitals, are they receptive to you? I'm looking at the perspective as a patient calling. They're usually not so receptive, but as an organization that's, with the checkbook in hand, can we work on this rate? We can get it in full right now. They're more workable.
Yeah, as long as you get the right person, we do seem to have a pretty good track record with that. They understand that if a family is awarded a grant, that it's guaranteed money. It's not going to all of a sudden be like, oh, our budget changed and now we don't have it anymore. So yeah, we have had pretty good success with that.
So that brings up another question. Do you usually send the full amount, like when they receive, let's say November 1st, you have a family that's getting a grant and they were awarded $2,000. Do you immediately send the 2,000 in, like say mid-December, whatever? And then
we do not.
Okay, they have
the speech therapist has to invoice. Yep,
and
absolutely.
So that 2,000 could be spread out over the next 5 months, but they have to use all funding within a year. Is that
technically? We make exceptions again, which I'm going to sound like a broken record that I keep saying that, but yes, these things happen. Kids get sick. You miss a session or two. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your funding.
COVID happens and things shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snowstorms happen where we live, So yeah, but we generally, the wording that you'll hear us say is that we pay for 1 session of speech therapy per week. So that's how we try to work it out.
And hearing you say that, the word I hear a lot, or what I'm taking away from it, is communication. Just keep communicating with you, keeping you in the loop of what's going on, how you're.
So yeah, it's a life skill. It's not just I'm applying for a grant skill. So we could have a whole therapy session about the issues in my family right now because nobody can communicate. So
yeah.
So yeah, no matter what, just keep in touch with us. We're here to help. So
okay. Were there any questions? Oh, would you cover speech camp?
Yes. Thanks, Kate. We do cover speech camp. We cover, it depends on the camp, but we cover the equivalent of 1 week. So not a whole summer, for example. But it depends, some camps are only mornings. So then maybe it would be more than that, but yes. And some of that information is on our site as well. So if you're interested in a camp, you would want to get in before our March cycle. Again, see those dates.
Let's take a look at your site.
You are. I was like, oh gosh, did I touch something? So, yeah. So, but yes. And we could do after the fact, but we wouldn't want your child to not get into the camp. So that's actually one of our, that you just passed Friday.
Yep, the young one. Yep.
And while you're scrolling, her family, her mom was on the board for a while and then she had to take a full-time job, but they're coming to our fundraiser next Friday. If anybody watching this is in the Cleveland area, we're doing a night at the races. Thank you. And Bridie's family will be there. They're one of our biggest advocates. There's a great story about her on our blog. So she's my buddy. She's like,
can they get, I didn't check. Are tickets available online?
Absolutely. So yeah, and that's one of the fundraisers that we do, just like any nonprofit. We do have some really great benefactors, some folks who give us money every year because they support the work we do, but we also need help from the community. So we do this and we do a big golf outing, again, to try and engage people and make it fun for them to give us their money. So.
And you just had, the last golf outing was in September, correct?
Yes.
Is that what I saw?
Yeah.
I love your newsletter. I want to tell people
Thanks.
that because there's always like little tips. I just
Mhm.
love it. So
Thanks.
I've told my families in the past, if grants are going to be what you're going to venture on in this, and it can be a lifelong journey, I have a separate email that is just for like those things for my
Got
son,
it.
like
Yeah.
email lists. But you also remind families of when your deadlines are. Like,
Yes.
hey, we have a grant
Oh.
application coming up. I think
Mhm.
that is wonderful. So,
Yeah.
and all they
Thank
have
you.
to do, I'm trying to think, it's on the bot. Is it under the contact us or is it
For the applying for funds, go up to the
No.
top and
the newsletter?
oh yeah, no, it's in a box. There you go. So yep.
Yeah. And then your
Thanks.
blog as well.
Yeah.
Yes, you give funding, many resources. That's one of the things I tell families to creep out your funding organization, check them out,
Yeah.
see how they got started, and see who they partner with. See, there might be other organizations or programs that one of your board members might be on, and that that families aren't aware of. It is word of mouth that spreads so much, I think. So okay, so let's look at and I always say look at the questions, but I think you pretty much answered them. How do you apply? Your deadlines, as you said, February 1st, May 1st, August 1st, November 1st.
Yeah.
And you can only apply it once in a calendar year. So let's say I did apply in November and didn't receive funding. I have to wait until
the November
next. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because some organizations roll over, if they can't fund it this cycle, because as you mentioned, the May 1st would really, did you say summer camp would be okay in May 1st?
Yeah, May 1st. Sorry. I think I said March out loud.
Okay.
I knew it was an M month. So, but yes.
And so
because it takes us a full month. So as you go further down, folks who are applying for our November cycle will hear around mid-December. So it does take a while for the committee to review and then for the board to meet. So, yeah.
It didn't have that on there. Something I had a question. I've been talking with the family that they love a speech path that is with their school that their child goes to. The speech pathologist is more than happy to come to the family's home to do some one-on-one with them.
Yep.
She's not ASHA certified.
Oh, see, that's and it's not hard to do. Have her call me. We'll work together.
That's what and the thing is, one of her teachers from when she went to the University of Toledo and got her degree is on our board. And she said the same thing because she's very well known in this area. She's wonderful. And it's like, why aren't you, that's all she would need, right? She doesn't. I think what's concerning is families then want to try to bill Medicaid or bill insurance. And I think some of the hang up might be the anxiety of the insurance aspect of it.
Yeah.
But to get ASHA certified, you don't have to bill insurance, right? I mean, it's just a process to get your, So I will
that's
tell
a tough
her
one.
You said too.
Okay. And just for those of you wondering why that is for our organization is because the way we've set up our charter and we report to our board is that we only pay the speech therapist. So we have to be careful that we don't have parents who are saying that they're the speech therapist and then they're using that money for something that it wasn't intended for. So it's a protection on our part that we've chosen to have as part of our rules. So, yeah.
And understandably, every organization's different. I try to tell my families, read the criteria. If they need X, Y, and Z, they need X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you have said multiple times there's always exceptions. I always suggest if there is a contact on their phone number, email, reach out to that. I'm a big advocate of Facebook too, because as a volunteer run organization, sometimes it's easier to get someone to on Facebook, just do a quick message or even update an event or fundraiser, where your website sometimes takes a little bit more time to get updated. So I always say check out their social media. And families seem receptive to it, but I think we're so used to hearing no from your school districts, no from insurance, Social Security. And I try to tell them grants, they want to give you money. So make it easy on them, give them the information they need. And so, I'm going to open up the application and see if it, I don't know.
You might have to create it. Yeah. So
that's what I
it's
would.
okay. Yeah. I can tell you a few things. So there's 3 or 4 parts to it. You do have to show the first page of your last tax return, at least so we can see what the income level was, and unfortunately not just take your word for it. So you do have to provide the documentation from the SLP, and you do have to provide documentation of any insurance that you do have, whether that's Medicaid, whether it's Anthem, doesn't matter, just a copy of the card or whatever, so that we can, cross our T's and dots our I's, as they say. And then you tell your story. We love when you include pictures of your children. We love when you share successes that they've already had. It doesn't take away from anything in your application. It shows how hard everybody's willing to work to make this successful. And we go from there. So insurance, taxes, SLP documentation, and information about your family and why you need what you need. So, and then if you've done anything online before, you can save it and come back to it. If you have all your information up front when you start, it should take absolutely less than half an hour. So,
you reach
I mean,
out
even
to
with
them if components are missing?
The system automatically does, and I've heard that goes to spam. So I don't, I don't want to answer that question. We don't personally,
Okay.
but the system does. We have it all set up. And if you apply on November 2nd on accident, it will absolutely save for the next cycle. You don't have to go back and redo it or anything like that. So, yeah.
And do you notify either way? Like you mentioned.
Yes, absolutely. Communication. Yes. We do. So that email always comes from someone on our team. She was on that. If anyone goes back to that about page, it's Chrissy. She is our program manager. So she's the one who gets all the invoices and makes sure that everybody gets paid. She's the one who tells me what checks to write. And she's the one that you would be communicating with if you had questions ahead of time. You can email me directly as well. I don't mind at all, but she's generally the person who's the point contact for that stuff. So
is that your son?
That is, yeah, that's my baby.
So when I see that you had it at the Elyria Country Club, I saw, wasn't it sponsored or something with Case Western? I thought I saw something about that. So I
no,
thought
that was a different event. The students at Case did a run, and they had the funds from their run come toward Orange Effect. And I have to tell you, because I'm learning as a parent, maybe some of you are going through this, but my child now identifies as they, them. So I have to learn my pronouns, and I'm trying really hard to be a good parent and remember to say they, them. So, yeah, that's again, another, yeah. So very important though. So.
Yep. My mind, you were very thorough. Do you have any other questions for Pam?
It's really easy. Pam at theorangeeffect.org. So, yep. Or I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn.
Oh, well, you're a marketing person, right? So you know about all the resources out there.
I do. I'm a social worker by trade, obviously, for my first job, but yeah, I've definitely gotten into the marketing world. It's quite a combination. So, well, thank you for having me, though. And please, if anyone sends you questions, send them over my way too. So appreciate it.
Definitely will. Well, thank you. And I just want to highlight that next month on November 15th, which is actually going to be, if I do the math, I guess that's the third Wednesday, we're going to be talking to Songs of Love, which is a foundation that will customize a song for your child. And on any type of music. It can be rock, pop, and whatever. And that will be on Wednesday, November 15th at noon.
Fun. Dang.